Alrighty, welcome back, guys. Change of scenery. We're in my bedroom. I have a temporary desk set up. I'm doing some renovations in the office, which is that way. And so this is the temporary setup. I've got everything just set up now, so hopefully the sound's all right and the lighting's fine. But the road is like right there, so if you hear road noise, cars and stuff, there's nothing this thing is super sensitive. There's nothing I can do about it, guys, so we'll just have to trudge through. But I have to get this going because, as you can see, we've got quite a bit to go through. This is not the queue, guys. This is done. Since the last time I did a batch of, which was in January. Now it's February. Half of this is books that I've read in the past that I'm just doing a review on now, and then half of it is new stuff. So I've done like 4 or 5 books just since January. It's February 18th right now. I did the year in review video, and I mentioned that adding audiobooks to my morning walk and my morning run drastically increased my reading rate. And that's an understatement. So whole lot more reading getting done. Plus, also, I usually have some other book, an alternate book that going in the bathroom. So when I go to the bathroom. And those are the only times that I read. I don't spend any time like dedicated to reading anymore. And I'm getting through all these books. So if you don't have time to read, there's your strategy. You have like you have your commute or whatever, or do an audio book. If you have toilet time, read a book. It works. So if you want to read more, that's all I'm going to say to that. But you didn't come here for me to do another reading tips video. What we came here for was this book right here. This is a book that I bought in like 2000 when I was in the Marine Corps. I was taking a flight to from Okinawa back home for vacation or whatever, 30 days or whatever. And I bought this book as entertainment, and we made it about halfway through. There's the flight stub for the ticket that I used as a bookmark. It says from depart Houston, arrive Tokyo. So this was on the way back, apparently. 18th of July. I'm guessing this is like 2000. It doesn't have the year. It's like 2000 or 2001, probably. But yeah, I bought this like in one of the bookstores in the airport, and this was this we never finished it, and finally we did. I got an audiobook, and like I said, in the morning I did my run, and we made it all the way through. The audiobook version was a kind of expanded, annotated version by the author's son, so Stephen Covey's son. So that's going to be a little bit different perspective, but yeah. So I have this book here. Let's do the blurb. So this is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is a very famous book, guys. This was like one of the pillars of productivity books. One of the big ones. There's or self-help books. There's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. There's also How to Win Friends and Influence People, which we've also done a review for. But that's way older. This was I think maybe other one would be like one of the Tony Robbins books, like Personal Power or something like that. I've never read any of Tony Robbins books, but the really big self-help books. This book is huge. It's copyright 1989, according to this. So yeah, it's over 30 years old. it's still pretty good. I will say, going back through it, um, it is a lot of what's in this book is not dated, but it's already kind of baked into a lot of the modern self-help books. It already includes some of the principles that are here. So this is just kind of like it was so influential that it just like changed the entire self-help or productivity, whatever landscape. That so whenever I'm going back through this, that I, when I was reading it, I remember that it had some interesting concepts when I first read it, but when I did the audiobook nowadays, I remember as we're going through reading it or listening to it, I'm like this. There's nothing really groundbreaking. So if you're really well versed in the self-help or productivity space, I mean, it's not a bad read. Don't get me wrong, but you're not going to learn a whole lot that you wouldn't have learned from like several of the other big big ones. And to be fair, a lot of the more modern ones actually use more scientific instead of and research based principles instead of this is more like rules of thumb and there's a word that I'm trying to find, but it's just not coming. This book is more principles and stuff like that, and it's not quite scientific. There's no citations in here really or anything like that. Put it that way. Okay, so yeah, the 7. Let's do the whole thing. National bestseller, over 10 million copies sold. I'm pretty sure that's an underestimate now. In fact, I've got here, just because everything was so kind of blasé. That's the word I want to use, but because everything was kind of not that memorable when I have the Wikipedia article here just for some notes and stuff. How many copies? Does it say? Sold more than 40 million copies worldwide. So yeah, it's a huge book. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So powerful lessons in personal change. Destined to be the personal leadership handbook of the decade. Scott DeGarmo, editor-in-chief of Success Magazine. I wonder if Success Magazine still even exists. That'd be interesting to know. This remarkable book will be my gift to everyone I know. Warren Bennis, author of On Becoming a Leader. Oh, here's a good one. This is long, but it's interesting when we get to the end. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Author Stephen Covey presents a holistic, integrated, principle-centered approach for solving personal and professional problems. With penetrating insights and poignant anecdotes, Covey reveals step-by-step pathway for living with fairness, integrity, honesty, and human dignity. Principles that give us the security to adapt to change and the wisdom and power to take advantage of the opportunities that change creates. Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People played a major role in the development of Saturn's operating systems and philosophy. Our commitment to quality and our customers has its roots in The 7 Habits. Skip LaFauve, I guess that's how you say his name, President, Saturn Corporation, General Motors. I'm like, I don't think it's funny when I was reading that. I'm like seeing Saturn. I'm like, wait a minute. Saturn didn't survive the culling, right, of General Motors in 2008 bankruptcy. I don't think. I don't know if it was sold off or whatnot. But yeah, it was fun seeing that. And another one is picture someone going through the best experience they've ever had in terms of training. That's what they say. That's what they say. People credit the 7 habits with changing their lives, with getting back on track professionally and personally. I said that backwards. All right. So yeah, the book itself, like I said, it's a good read. It's just you probably know most of the stuff that's already mentioned, and it's like, I mean, it's. I'm not gonna say not to read the book. We'll get to the summary here. Let's talk about what's actually in the book. The big parts are paradigms and principles, the private victory, the public victory, and renewal. He does an overview of the 7 habits. Then he breaks down. So there's 3 private habits, 3 public habits, and then 1 renewal habit, basically. So the first habit is be proactive. Proactive is basically about owning your own experience, your own reactions to your current situation, taking initiative, and being assertive in your own situation instead of being a victim to it, so to speak, or just going with the flow. I'm like, being conscious of the situation or whatever, and he talks about several different aspects of that principle or whatever. And another one, this is a big one. You've heard this before. Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. So that's all about having a vision, right? Knowing where you want to go, because if you don't know where you want to go, then it doesn't really matter. You could do a bunch of work, but if you're not moving in the right direction, then that doesn't really matter, right? So that's begin with the end in mind. And then put first things first. Put first things first is where, I don't know if he coined it. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was, okay, I see it right here. It's the Dwight D. Eisenhower, but he reintroduces in the book. And I do remember when I first read this book, this was a groundbreaking idea that I hadn't heard of. And it's talking about the 4 quadrants of priority of things. So you have the urgent and not urgent, and then the important and not important. And so if it's urgent and important, then you just do it like right immediately. If it's important but not urgent, then that's your plan stage. So you do some planning there. If it's urgent but not important, then you just delegate that to somebody else, either somebody else or some software system or something automated or something like that. And then the quadrant 4 is not urgent and not important. You just eliminate it. Just try to get rid of it completely from your process. That's like the Eisenhower matrix, right? And I'm pretty sure that this book introduced that idea for me, but you probably already heard about that. But that's put first things first. That's the matrix really is it's all about thinking about how to prioritize things, and it uses the Eisenhower matrix as a big part of that. The next 3 habits, that's the public habits or whatever. These are about relationships and stuff like that. The habit number 4 is think win-win, and that's all about, instead of thinking about competition, think more about cooperation. It's not about being nice. It's about building mutually beneficial relationships that can grow and compound, over time. Because if it's all competitive, then you're never going to get that compounding kind of thing. I don't know if he puts it in that term, but that's how I think of the whole win-win. if you're hearing these terms like win-win situation and stuff like that, and you already know these terms, it's from this book. You just don't, you may have not have known this. The next one is seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is all about making sure that you're listening to the people that you work with, the people that are in your life, and making sure you really hear them, so that you both can come up with a win-win situation. But you first have to really hear what their situation or their concerns or what they're really saying before you even try to get your words out. Can you think about it? You start getting in an adversarial situation. The other person is not really hearing what you're saying. You're just you think about it when you've gotten into an argument before. What usually devolves down to is you hear what the other person says, and you're looking at that one little sentence that you can turn around and undercut and flip it on its head. It doesn't matter whatever else they said. You're just looking for that one little snippet that you can misunderstand or misinterpret or undercut in some way, just so you can keep the argument going, because that's how arguments work, right? And this is all about removing that really is rooted, to me, really is about removing that argumentative kind of aspect to it. And like, you can't be an argument if you're really listening to the other person. And then habit 6 is synergize. So if you remember, the late 90s and early 2000s or whatever, all about synergy and paradigms and stuff like that, that's this book. It really is this book. That's how it got into the corporate lexicon, because this thing just like flew through corporate culture, Synergize. Synergize is I don't know. I can't really remember what it was talking about. The Wikipedia was saying, it says, combines the strength of people through positive teamwork so as to achieve goals that no one could have done alone. Covey exhorts. And that is about as bland. I think this is... Remember, I kind of said that this book is a little bit different. In modern books, they used to depend more on research and concrete like statements and stuff like that. This is one of those statements that is a whole habit that is more of a feeling. It's not really actionable, really, in any... It's one of the weak. I would consider it one of the weaker. So it's the most forgettable, at least to me. It's the most forgettable habit. And the last habit is sharpen the saw. And that's all about maintaining continuous improvement. It's basically a lean principle. It's an agile principle if you're a software developer. It's all about continuous improvement. It's the last step. You do go through the whole process, and then you do retrospective of some type or reflection, and you say, well, what did it do good? What did not do good? And then how can we change the situation to improve it? And then you keep that iteration cycle. So that's all about habit 7 is sharpen the saw. It's all about making sure that, and of course, I am almost certain that I heard the words about, was it I don't even know if it was really, if it's apocryphal, if it's really a quote, but I think it was from Abraham Lincoln. They always would, like, if I had to chop down the tree, I would spend the first 4 hours. If I had 5 hours to chop down a tree or something like that, I would spend the first 4 hours sharpening the saw, sharpening the axe or something like that, sharpening the saw. That's this, right? So it's very common. I'm pretty sure that exact story was, or whatever the proper quote of that was actually in this book verbatim. But it's a good book. If you haven't read a lot of self-help stuff, You'll probably learn a few things. I'm not sure I would recommend it nowadays. Like, again, I'm not saying it's a bad book. Maybe I'll read it again. This is the thing. I'm not recommending it, but maybe I'll read it again. But it's kind of blasé now. It's still the wrong word. It's not even a word I use in regular. Blasé. What am I saying? I don't know the right word. It's kind of ho hum. We don't have what are words? It's meh. It's not bad. It's well written. It's an easy read or easy listen, but it's also pretty forgettable at the same time. So it's not super powerful by I would say it's not on the same level. It's Atomic Habits ruined every other productivity book, or what was it, Making It Stick ruined those two books, or Fast Lane Millionaire. It just kind of ruined all the other productivity or self-help or self-inspiration books, because they kind of encompass this book already. So I am continuing to ramble. We have saying things over and over. So we're 20 minutes in, and I probably could have cut out 5 minutes of this. It is a good book. I would probably recommend a couple of other books before this one. But if you haven't read it and you're just wanting more of that type of inspiration, it's not a bad book to pick up. It's on Amazon. Let's see here. Amazon is the audiobook is like $20, and hardcover is about $23. So it's not super cheap, you would think. Oh, the paperback is $12. Yeah, the hardcover is $24. Paperback is $12. We're getting down there. I imagine a book of this age would probably get down to $5, but I guess not. It's a good book. Maybe not the first productivity book that I would recommend. But it is good. We're repeating ourselves. I bought it was $14, so now it's $20. That's inflation for you. Not too bad. All right. So yeah, that's rambling. I will catch you guys on the next one then.